All right, everybody, it's time for Week 6 predictions for Alabama versus Texas A&M and the rest of the SEC.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Oh, good. Just standing in front of the stadium here.
For the first time in the history of this podcast, Jimmy has done something more technologically advanced than I have.
And it only took me weeks to figure it out. Weeks. But here I have figured this out. Although stupidly, I'm in Tuscaloosa with the actual stadium literally right behind me, and I've chosen this moment to launch the fake stadium picture show behind me when I have the real one just outside the window. This speaks volumes as to a lot.
I want to thank everybody for making this your first listen. Also want to thank everybody for watching us on YouTube. It was kind of funny. Jimmy, we had a comment on YouTube about yesterday's podcast. I can't even remember what set him off, but he was like, that guest is supposedly your expert. Well, this is my first listen and my last listen. And I was like, okay, but this isn't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. That's fine. I mean, anyway, and I don't even know which one he was making fun of, you or me.
Probably me, but I said something about the center the other day that got one guy upset, and I think he took it a little bit out of context. I'll be more clear going forward.
It's ironic. You're going to be more clear verbally while you're a hologram visually. Okay. All right. So, Jimmy, let's start talking about the other SEC games first, because I'll save the last two segments for Alabama A&M talk, like individual predictions, and then, of course, the game prediction. Look, Ole Miss Vandy, I know the line is 17, but that game historically has been a weird one. Now, Lane Kiffin is running the ship. I think things are going to be a little different. I think Ole Miss handles business. But it's not going to be quite shocking if Vanderbilt makes this close.
Well, first of all, it's a better Vanderbilt team than normal. I mean, I think this is one of the better Vandy teams of the past 10 years, so that's one factor. Secondly, here's a weird thing. Ole Miss is now so good annually. Are they going to start taking other Power 5 opponents lightly? Is Ole Miss good enough now to where they literally take teams lightly? So that could happen. I won't be shocked if this is somewhat close, but I think Ole Miss will win by 20.
All right, let's move on ahead to let's talk about Tennessee LSU really quickly. Arkansas, Mississippi State, I'm not going to really get into it. I feel like if KJ Jefferson doesn't play, I think that's Mississippi State for sure. But I do want to mention LSU Tennessee, because that one does have that's so intriguing. I don't know who I'm pulling for. I guess technically I'm pulling for Tennessee because that way it gives another one of our opponents in the West a loss. But at the same time, Tennessee coming in undefeated next week makes for a rabid environment. Maybe if they have a loss, maybe it's not. Maybe it takes a little sting off of it. But maybe it doesn't matter anyway, because maybe they just can't beat us. I don't know. They hadn't beat us in 15 years. Why start now?
Yeah, this is one of the best games of the weekend to me. I think Tennessee has played like the better team this season. I have no doubt that that's true. Tennessee's looked really good, especially on offense. LSU has looked suspect at times. I was sort of borderly. LSU played against Auburn a week ago. So I think Tennessee's going to win this game. I'm going to say Tennessee's going to win something like 30-20. But I won't be shocked if it's close or if LSU wins, just because what do we say every week, or what do I say every week on the show? It's really hard to win SEC games on the road. It's very difficult. I can see Tennessee struggling for that very reason. LSU is pretty good on defense. So that makes a real interesting matchup when Tennessee has the ball. But in the end, I'm just going to go with the better team here, and the better team has been Tennessee.
Then there's Auburn, Georgia. Yeesh. And then Brandon Council, the third string starting center for Auburn, said something along the lines of, "If this happens and that happens, I feel like we can demolish them." And even the Auburn moderators are like, "Why? Why would you do this? What are you doing?"
Maybe he's putting some money on Georgia.
I feel like this has the makings of just an absolute beatdown. I just feel like Georgia's going to just open up a can on them. It's unfortunate for Auburn that CBS chose this game. I think CBS should have chosen Tennessee LSU, but
I agree.
I don't know why they did.
I guess they had to choose it a couple of weeks. I mean, there's no question. Best game in the SEC this week is Tennessee LSU. That's the one that's hardest to pick. There's a lot riding on it. Tennessee's undefeated and ranked really high. The Alabama Texas A&M storyline is still there, but I wonder if CBS had it to do all over again. Here's one thing, and a lot of people don't get this, Luke. When I say a lot of people, I've seen a lot of comments on message boards that show that not everyone understands this. CBS has, before the season starts, what day, not what game, but what day they want their primetime game. So obviously what that means logically is they've picked the game. They picked the game when they do that. And they announce their primetime game. This is well before the season starts. So they picked Alabama, Texas A&M back in June or July in terms of what game is going to be their one primetime selection of the year. I think what's interesting to me is, would CBS make the same choice today? My answer is probably not. I'm not sure what game they would choose. In picking one SEC game to show to a primetime national audience, maybe Georgia, Tennessee, maybe Alabama, Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin. But I don't think they would choose A&M now because of A&M's losing and Bryce Young's very possibly not playing in the game.
All right, let's go ahead and tell everybody about Underdog. Underdog, look, I'm going to put up their little logo here so everybody can see it. I said I'm going to. There it is, Underdog. This episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and it's the easiest place to spice up your college football season. So easy. Look, if you like, say, Jordan Travis higher than 260 yards in a half, passing yards versus Wake Forest for Florida State, that would have been a good bet last week. Or you can do something like Drake May higher than 265 yards passing versus Virginia Tech last week. Those are examples of things you could do. And it's just, you pick the over or the under. That's it. It's super easy. It's available in over 30 states. Just pick between 2 and 5 players across any team, not just your team. I mean, any team. Like I said, Drake May, you can do Grant Wells, you can do Jordan Travis, all these guys, all these fantastic games. I mean, look, KJ Jefferson, if he plays, you can do an over-under on him. It's one of the easiest fantasy games to play out there, and you can win cold hard cash in a single game. Sign up with promo code Locked On. That's one word, Locked On, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Deposit $100, get $100 free. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or find the Underdog Fantasy app in the App Store or Google Play Store. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Locked On. That's one word, Locked On. Get in on the college football pick'em action today. All right, Jimmy, let's talk about some predictions for individual players in this game. First of all, do you think Jalen Milroe will be the starter?
I mean, I'm guessing. I'm not knowing, and if I did know, I wouldn't say. But just in terms of like gut feel, total guess, I'm going to say this is Milroe's game. I'm very, very interested to see the script, not the offense. I mean, we're not going to come out in the wishbone. I mean, it won't look dramatically different, but it is going to be dramatically different to the coaches and to the players in terms of the plays call. There'll be a script, something that they've repped to death. I'm real curious to see what that all looks like. But yeah, I think it'll be Milroe's game. I really do.
Let's do some of our own over-unders. I probably should pull up Underdog Fantasy and do these, and I might do that if they have them already up. Jahmyr Gibbs, over-under 130 yards rushing. How about that?
130?
Yeah.
go over. I think he hits another home run.
Wow. Okay. So that's interesting. That also means you probably think he's going to be playing, um, well into the fourth quarter, because I think the unofficial coaches show, which is another YouTube show, which is good. I mean, it's actually really really cool, a lot of fun. These guys do a fantastic job. Love watching them. I'm just throwing out there some more. Uh,
Mhm.
Shows, pimping some more shows. But they said, hey, we hadn't seen Jahmyr Gibbs a lot in the fourth quarter of a lot of games. So, when everybody else is getting a little tired, that's when Gibbs can really crank it up.
Yeah, but I also think if Milroe's the quarterback, it kind of tied into Milroe. I mean, I think it'll be a big day rushing. I think there'll be more rushing attempts and more touches for Gibbs in the Milroe game than there will be a Bryce game, because Bryce, very much like a point guard, spreads it around. I think when Bryce is in, everybody's getting more touches. Everybody's in the action. I think when Milroe's in, the circle's going to get a little smaller, fewer receivers playing, fewer running backs. Game might not be a blowout. All those things add up to Gibbs getting more touches. I think the more times he touches the ball, the more likely circle the bases.
Okay, well then let's also do this. Over under touchdown passes for Jalen Milroe, again, assuming he starts, 1.5.
I'm going to go under, just because, I mean, my prediction will be 1 touchdown pass. So I'll go under, but I also don't mean that to imply that he won't throw the ball fairly well. I just think it depends on, those who are expecting a Bryce Young stat line or a Bryce Young performance. They're going to be mad no matter what. I'm expecting Jalen Milroe to play like a gifted freshman.
Will we return a punt for a touchdown?
God, we're overdue for that based on what Kool-Aid has shown. But I'll go no, just because math and logic say no. But we're overdue because Kool-Aid has come so close now, like 7 times.
Again, what's funny is we have returned a punt for a touchdown this year. It just wasn't Kool-Aid who did it.
Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point. That's shocking. Wait, what enough? That's a fun, because I think if you ask a lot of Alabama fans, they would forget, because it wasn't Kool-Aid. So they forget that Branch actually did that somehow, some way.
Brian Branch going to play this weekend?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's good news. All right, well, let's go ahead and take another break. And when we come back, we're going to get into our predictions for the game itself. And we're back. Predictions for the game, Jimmy. I will start and then let you go on your little rant, because you love your little rants.
A lot of traffic on the strip today. Look at all these cars going past me on University.
Is it weird that you have a camera set up right there in front of Bryant Denny? I mean, has anybody stopped to say anything?
Yeah, they're like, wow, how come you look a lot shorter in person? God, my brain farted. Rick Carl, you look a lot shorter in person.
Rick Carly?
Rick Carly, that's it. I was like, I brain farted so bad I wanted to call him James Spann. I'm out here doing the weather.
Rick Carl sounds like a B team wrestler.
Rick Carl.
Okay.
Sounds like a local politician.
Yeah, my prediction is going to be 45-13 Alabama. I just don't see how in the world Texas A&M scores a lot of points, especially if Haynes King doesn't play. And apparently Haynes King will not be playing. Not Haynes King. Max Johnson doesn't play, especially if Max Johnson doesn't play. Haynes King looks like will be the starter. As I mentioned, he had 2 interceptions late in the game when he came in for Max Johnson against Mississippi State. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. And I feel like A&M may be mailing it in a little bit. I mean, they're already the season sort of, you hate to say it, but the season's sort of a washout for them right now. I mean, there's no way they can meet expectations. I mean, they still have got some other really tough games coming up. I think they got Florida at home. That they've got LSU on the schedule still. They got Ole Miss still. They got Bama, obviously. They should have lost to Arkansas. I would maintain they should have lost to Miami. They did lose to App State. Things aren't just gelling right now. And most everybody's been there. Pre-Saban, we've been there too, where the season just, it seems like everything's going wrong. I feel like things are going to continue to go wrong for the Texas A&M Aggies. I'm going to say 45-13, and I feel like I'm being generous with that 13 points.
Wow. Well, we're somewhat similar. I'm going to have Alabama winning 35-14. I do think, like Luke, Alabama wins this game behind the defense. The defense has been playing extremely well. That jives up with Tech playing well all year. It's hard to imagine A&M getting their offense going finally against an Alabama. So I think behind the defense, Alabama wins the game. Assuming that this is Jalen Milroe's game from beginning to end, I think he's going to be like every gifted freshman. He will be very impressive at times. We know what kind of athlete he is. He's an A-plus athlete. That's not going to change. I think he'll do something athletically amazing 2 or 3 times in a 60-minute game. And I think he's going to make some good throws. And then he's going to have his moments where it's not going to look great, where it won't be consistent, where, he'll miss an open guy or make a bad decision. That's because he is a redshirt freshman, and this is his first start and his second extended playing time. It won't be pretty all the time, and because of that, it won't be a complete blowout. Wins the game comfortably because they play defense and run the ball. Another home run for Gibbs. And again, Milroe at least 2 or 3 times during the game makes everybody say, wow. 35-14 Alabama.
I'm going to also make a couple other prediction that Will Anderson gets more than 1.5 sacks. And I'm going to say we have at least one play of greater than 80 yards.
I like it. I'd almost want it to be a Milroe run just because I want to see him run full speed again. That was a sight to behold.
God, it really is sort of like watching – it was sort of like watching Derrick Henry run that fast. I mean, you're just like, why would you get in front of this? It's just a business decision.
I think a year ago I've said on this show, and I'm sure when I said it, I bet half or more of our audience scoffed when I said Jalen Milroe may be the fastest player on the team. And that was a year ago. It was before we had Harrell, before we had Bond. I said Milroe may be the fastest player on the whole team. And I'm sure a big part of our audience is like, there is no way that at Nick Saban's Alabama, a quarterback is the fastest player. But told you, I wasn't making it up.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with a game wrap-up next time. So until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.